Boston's skyline glistens with glass towers, symbols of wealth and progress. These soaring buildings reflect not just the sunlight, but the city's ambition and its promise of opportunity. From a distance, Boston appears as a beacon of modernity, a place where dreams are built high into the sky. Below, the city pulses with students, tourists, and professionals. This is the Boston on postcards. The sidewalks are alive with energy, filled with laughter, conversation, and the constant movement of people chasing their goals. It's a city that feels vibrant and full of promise, where every street corner seems to tell a story of success. But just beyond the shine, another Boston exists. Step away from the main avenues, and the city's hidden streets reveal a different reality, one that rarely makes it into the tourist brochures. Under overpasses and along forgotten streets, tents made of tarps form fragile homes. These makeshift shelters are pieced together from whatever can be found, offering little protection from the elements. Here live the city's forgotten residents, left behind by prosperity. They navigate daily struggles, often invisible to those who pass by, their stories unheard and their needs unmet. The contrast is stark: immense wealth beside deep poverty. Gleaming condos tower over makeshift camps, highlighting the city's growing divide. The two Bostons rarely touch, divided not by distance, but by privilege. Invisible barriers keep these worlds apart, even as they exist side by side. Tent cities are growing, not shrinking. Each week, more people find themselves with nowhere else to go, forced to seek shelter wherever they can. Faces of homelessness are everywhere, young, old, once secure, now struggling. Their backgrounds are as varied as the city itself, each person carrying a unique story of hardship and hope. For all its success, Boston faces a crisis it can no longer hide. The growing visibility of homelessness has become impossible to ignore, drawing attention from media and residents alike. The city's promise of a better life is broken for many, leaving them to survive on the cold pavement. As night falls, the divide between the gleaming towers and the hidden streets becomes even more pronounced, reminding us that Boston's story is one of both hope and hardship. For years, the Boston Healthcare for the Homeless program, BHCHP, was a lifeline. Its staff brought medical care to the streets, treating thousands each year. But in September 2025, devastating cuts hit 25 staff laid off, and the Stacey Kirkpatrick House, a 20-bed respite facility, closed. These weren't just jobs lost, they were trusted connections for people in crisis. Now, many are discharged from hospitals with nowhere safe to recover. The loss of staff means fewer checks, fewer kind words, and fewer chances for recovery. Manageable conditions become emergencies, addiction recovery slips further away. The safety net built over decades is unraveling. More people are falling through the cracks, left without care. Why are these cuts happening now? The answer lies in Washington, D.C. Federal Medicaid funding was slashed in July 2025, gutting support for low-income healthcare. For BHCHP, Medicaid was 75% of their funding. Now, $7 million is gone. This isn't a gap small donations can fill. It's a crisis, forcing impossible choices. The impact ripples statewide. Up to 180,000 Massachusetts residents could lose health insurance. Hospitals are strained, and preventative care disappears. For the homeless, the loss is immediate and severe. Their primary care system is vanishing. Without healthcare, stability is impossible. Without stability, health declines. The federal cuts have deepened Boston's crisis. The most vulnerable are left with even fewer lifelines. Nowhere is Boston's crisis more visible than at Mass and Cass. This intersection, at the heart of the city, has become a stark symbol of the challenges facing Boston today. Here, the struggles of homelessness, addiction, and poverty are on full display, woven into the daily life of the neighborhood. This intersection is the epicenter of homelessness and addiction. Tents line the sidewalks, people gather in small groups, and open drug use is a common sight. Every day, hundreds of people try to survive in makeshift shelters, facing the elements and the constant uncertainty of life on the street. Shelters and services draw people here, offering a lifeline, but life is a constant struggle against violence, theft, and overdose. Outreach workers and police patrol the area, trying to keep the peace, but the sense of crisis is overwhelming. For many, hope is in short supply. For nearby residents and businesses, frustration and fear grow as the area becomes a containment zone. Storefronts are boarded up, and the sense of community is fraying. Many feel powerless, watching their neighborhood change in ways they never imagined. Stories from Mass and Cass are raw and deeply personal. People trapped by addiction, failed by the system, cycling through detox with no long-term support. Some have lost everything, while others cling to hope for a fresh start, but the odds are stacked against them. The problem is bigger than homelessness or addiction. It's about broken systems and deep inequality. The city's wealth and opportunity stand in stark contrast to the suffering at Mass and Cass, highlighting the urgent need for real solutions and compassion. Mass and Cass is a wound on the city, a symbol of systemic failure. The debris and decay are reminders of what happens when people are left behind, and when problems are allowed to fester without meaningful intervention. Until Boston addresses root causes, affordable housing, mental health care, and economic opportunity, the crisis will persist. Solutions require more than quick fixes. They demand commitment and empathy from everyone. The suffering here cannot be ignored or swept away. It is a call to action for the entire city, a reminder that behind every tent and every face is a story that matters. In September 2025, Mayor Michelle Wu launched a new plan to clear Mass and Cass. The city offered people beds at treatment centers, aiming to move them from tents to care. The encampment vanished almost overnight. The streets fell quiet. Officials called it progress, but skepticism remains. Many worry the crisis has just scattered. Encampments may reappear elsewhere, harder to reach. Past clearings have been temporary. Without permanent housing and healthcare, the cycle repeats. The core issues, housing, addiction, healthcare cuts, remain unsolved. The quiet is fragile, a pause rather than a solution. The city waits to see if this is real change or just another short-lived fix. The true test will be what comes next. Behind every statistic is a person with a story, a life shaped by hope, hardship, and resilience. When we talk about homelessness, it's easy to get lost in the numbers, but each number represents a real human being, with dreams, fears, and memories. People like Raul Diaz, living on the streets, remind us we have the right to live among everybody else, not to be mocked or treated like garbage. We have feelings. Raul's words echo the silent pleas of so many who are forced to the margins, longing for respect and understanding. This isn't a plea for pity, it's a demand for dignity. Every person deserves to be recognized for their humanity, not just their circumstances. The fight for dignity is a daily struggle, and it's one that no one should have to face alone. Homelessness is a daily battle for survival and self-worth. Each morning brings uncertainty: where to find food, where to rest, how to stay safe. The city's streets become both shelter and obstacle, shaping every moment of their lives. The anxiety of not knowing where you'll sleep, the shame of being ignored, these are daily realities. The world often looks away, but for those living it, the struggle is constant, and the pain of invisibility is profound. For every voice like Raul's, thousands more suffer in silence. Many are too weary or afraid to speak, but their stories matter just as much. Their silence is a reminder of how isolating homelessness can be. Their dreams are simple: a key to their own door, a place to belong, a chance to rebuild. The hope for stability and acceptance is universal, and it's what keeps many going, even in the darkest times. Hearing these voices changes the conversation. When we listen, we begin to understand the true scope of the crisis and the power of empathy to inspire action. The crisis is about more than housing. It's about connection and compassion. It's about building a community where everyone is valued and no one is left behind. The people on Boston's streets want to be seen, heard, and treated with dignity. Their voices call us to look closer, listen deeper, and remember our shared humanity. As autumn settles over Boston, the city stands at a crossroads. The towers rise, but so does the number of people in their shadows. Healthcare cuts and temporary fixes can't hide the deep problems. The solution starts with empathy, seeing the person, not the problem. Listen to stories like Raul's. Recognize the call for dignity. Empathy leads to kindness. A smile, a meal, a helping hand. These acts restore connection and hope, reminding people they matter. Real change requires bold leadership, more housing, restored healthcare funding. But policy alone isn't enough. Community compassion is essential. We must refuse to accept homelessness as normal. Hope and resilience must guide us. The soul of Boston is measured by how we treat our most vulnerable neighbors.